We hear so much these days about education and the importance of having an educated workforce for the future. And as we all age, we want well-educated people to take care of us out there as well, whether it's our own kids and grandkids or the upcoming youngsters as well. Well, our next guest is a big part of helping those young people to learn more. Don Sedgwick is with us today, and he's running for re-election for the Saddleback Valley Unified School District. Welcome.
Thank you.
So this is not your first go-around. You've been on the school board for a number of years now. Back in 2008, some of your goals were to reduce class size. How has that worked out?
Well, it's become an issue of trying to maintain low class sizes. As you might know, there's been a program, a statewide program of class size reduction. However, with the state budget crisis as it's been, most of us have just been trying to hold on to what we have. Mm-hmm. And so unfortunately we haven't been able to have class sizes as low as we'd like them to be. And we're hoping that, you know, in the last 4 years we've been cut about $30 million in our school district. So there's not been an opportunity to have smaller classes. We're hoping that perhaps when that funding begins to come back, that will be one of our top priorities, will be to reduce our class sizes by at least 2 or 3 students.
We have the ongoing challenge of whether it's road services or highway patrol or anything else the state provides, education being among that list. A lot of people want those services and want them to see it continue or improve, but most people aren't too excited about seeing their taxes increase. There's that challenge of, you know, having what we want and paying for it. Right. You're right in the middle of all that, it sounds like.
Yeah, you know, I really believe that part of the structure of funding for education that is broken has been the shift from the local control to the state control. And back in the 70s, for example, local government could not only decide how much they wanted to tax, how much they needed to tax their local constituency, but they also had complete control on how to spend that money. That was a better system, a better model than what we have today, where the state uses antiquated formulas for determining how much each place gets, and then they tell you how to spend much of it, mm-hmm. and with strings attached to that funding. So it's not just a question of how much funding, but it's the strings that are attached to it and the stability of it. Our state funding model is very volatile. It now relies greatly on income more than property taxes. And we've lost a lot of the stability. So we get peaks and valleys. Mm-hmm. And when we have a valley, when this funding goes low, the state tends to not even give us what's due us. And so they'll defer money for later because they can't pay their own bills. Well, when it's low, that's when we need it even more. So it's a very volatile funding source, which is just as important as the amount. So I don't necessarily know if our taxes need to go up, as long as we could find a way to make our funding more stable, so we didn't have the big peak where you know, maybe raises are given and things are based on a high level of funding, and then we fall off a cliff, and then we have to cut all kinds of programs, and then we're fighting for that funding that we used to have.
I know last time around you were anxious that things like the music program and other amenities be restored. Have you been able to do that in light of all these budget constraints?
Well, we've been able to hold on to much of that. Our mantra, as we've had this $30 million of cuts, our mantra has been, you know, let's trim the tree, but let's not kill the tree.
Kill the tree, yeah.
So we've been trying to, with music, with athletics. Unfortunately, much of the burden of funding has fallen upon the participants and in the way of voluntary contributions. We don't require payments to participate in music and athletics, but there's too great a burden on voluntary contributions, and to do that fundraising has become very difficult. But we've been able to save the programs in the process, and hopefully before too long we'll be able to restore the district's role in funding those programs.
I guess the question is, how many candy bar sales and car washes will we tolerate as a community to help upside? And obviously it puts a burden on the parents, and we have, I'm thinking of nearby Irvine and the district here, more than likely above average incomes for many of the families here, perhaps able to help out, absorb, whether it's mom not having a full-time job or dad having a freedom in his job to volunteer in the classroom, making contributions. We hear now that teachers are saying, you know, we'd like you to give us a pad of paper or give us a box of pencils or whatever, things that we all took out of the supply cabinet every year when we were in school. So that's changed as well. Parent involvement, very important. And maybe that's good in a way. It gets the parents finding out what's going on at the school scene.
They are, and our parent involvement in our school district is terrific. We even have great parental involvement here in Laguna Woods. We've got programs over at San Joaquin where many of the Laguna Woods residents tutor our kids. That is greatly appreciated, especially in that community where the parents in many of those homes don't speak English. They're not equipped to help train those kids up in public education, and we fill some of those gaps for them.
And that gets into your background. Spanish speaking is part of your background with some of your church work, I guess. So you have a bit of an empathy perhaps for people who are coming here that maybe aren't as fluent in English as some of the other youngsters might be.
You know, our role here in education is to educate anyone who walks through our doors. And we've just got to do our best with anyone who shows up. And having some experience with the Hispanic families, it's better for our community if those children are well educated. Yeah. You know, to have them go through and then be part of our society without an education hurts all of us. Yeah. So we must do our best to educate all kids, and that's what public education is about. Sure. It's about the great equalizer for all kids.
You have something in your priorities for this coming year if you're reelected, and that you say allow UC approval on line courses. Explain a bit about the background on that and why you feel that's significant.
This is something new that I really believe can help us budgetarily and educationally. There is so much available online, by the internet, in learning. There are great courses by great instructors that are available for someone just to click on it and learn. Of course, we're not going to do away with the classroom instruction. Nothing can substitute for that. However, to give a student the freedom to be able to take a course online and get full credit for it can free up our resources so that we can have lower class sizes, so that a student can have a greater breadth of options. They could study Arabic. We can't afford to teach that in our school district, but you could take a course like that, and we ought to be able to give them credit if they are UC approved. The UC system, the University of California system, already has a mechanism where they have judged these programs and decided which ones are worthy of receiving credit for application into the UC system. And I believe that if it's good enough for the UC system, it should be good enough for Saddleback Unified, and we should give credit for those courses as well and free up resources to have more options for kids.
That's going to give those kids a leg up as well as they apply, whether it's for community college or a four-year college as well, public or private. Having that background in those enrichment classes sounds like a good idea.
Not only that, some kids learn better that way. For example, if you take a math class in a class of 30 kids, the teacher has to go at a certain pace, and many kids aren't with that pace and fall behind a little bit, and that's okay with the teacher because they want to have that bell curve and have just as many A's as B's and C's and D's. Well, in this program online, you don't move on, you don't move that click, you don't click that cursor forward until you've mastered concept A. That's when you go to concept B. And so students can learn at their own pace and they can master the concepts before they progress. Some kids have said that they can learn much better in math online than they can in a classroom for that reason.
And the kid that can move along a little quicker, they're not being held back by the 35 other kids in the class.
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah, sounds like some great programs as well.
Yeah.
Well, you're up for re-election, and again, your name will be appearing on the ballot along with several other folks who want to serve on the school district. We thank you for your previous service, and we thank you for coming by and joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you with us today. Don Sedgwick, candidate for re-election on the board of Saddleback Unified School District. So we'll be hearing and seeing more those names and others as we continue on here on this program. More news coming up, more guests as well as we continue with our Wednesday program for you. Don't go away.